Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris here, and I just took my oldest son to see the 40th anniversary screening of Return of the Jedi. It was actually playing at two theaters here in the Charlotte area. One was closer to us. We went there, and it was a packed house. I was kind of surprised. I really wasn't 100% sure what to expect, but when I went on Fandango to get my tickets, I saw that there weren't a ton of seats left, and so then that was an inkling that, yeah, maybe there are going to be a good bit of people here, and I don't know that it was sold out. There were some seats in the front row that were still available, but rather than review the movie, because what else can be said about Return of the Jedi at this point? I wanted to talk just kind of about the experience of seeing this classic, and I do think it's a classic of science fiction, action, fantasy filmmaking on a big screen. When this was released, I was 1 year old, right? So I grew up with the original trilogy on VHS. That's how I saw them. The Phantom Menace came out in '99, and I think I was a junior in high school, so maybe 17 years old at that point, something like that. So for the longest time, I thought we were not getting any more Star Wars movies. So Return of the Jedi was kind of it. It was the capper at that point. So even though, they did release the original trilogy in theaters prior to the prequels, I only saw Empire Strikes Back in theaters. And I kind of wished I had seen both A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. But went and saw it on the big screen, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. Hey, as always, if you're enjoying this content, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Please be sure to click the subscribe button. As always, I really appreciate your viewership. And if you've seen this classic on the big screen, or if you are seeing it this week, it's got a limited run. Let me know what your experience was like down in the comments below. So my son had seen this movie on Blu-ray. We have the Blu-ray, and of course we have Disney Plus, so we can stream it that way also. But he had seen it at home, and he was excited about the prospect of seeing it on a big screen. It's his favorite Star Wars film, which is great. My favorite is still Empire Strikes Back. I love Return of the Jedi, but Empire is still, to me, the pinnacle of what Star Wars has achieved, with some other films being in that conversation. I think Rogue One is actually pretty high up there. But anyway, he loved the experience. He really did. And it was funny in watching it. I had to kind of talk through him after the fact about, originally there were not a lot of things in the movie that you see in this, such as Jedi rocks. I do still think that's the worst part of the change that was made to this film. Some of the other stuff doesn't bother me as much, but I just hate that. The original song, I think it's Lap T Neck or whatever it might be, this in Return of the Jedi is just infinitely better to me. I don't know why they changed that. I think it's completely stupid. But anyway, that was the one thing that I don't like about it. And I'd seen it a million times. In the back of my brain, I was thinking, maybe, what if just randomly this was like the original version of the film in the theater? But of course, that was not going to happen. That would have been very well publicized had that been the case. But seeing this in a packed theater, right? You had a lot of other people, a lot of other families around, just really kind of soaking up the experience. A lot of laughter when 3PO was kind of, uttering his lines that we're all so familiar with. But the other thing that's interesting about seeing a movie like this on the big screen is that, having seen it so many times, literally I was going through the dialogue in my head, seconds before the characters were saying it, or even longer than that. I don't know that I could recite the entire movie from memory, but pretty darn close, I think. So it was just one of those things where you get an opportunity to see a movie you absolutely love on a big screen, and you just eat it up. We got some popcorn, some soda, a little bit of candy, and just really had a blast with it. And I could see, around the theater, once it concluded, people were just grinning from ear to ear. I was smiling the whole time, because you don't really, get to see this sort of thing happen all that often in a movie theater. And what it did, too, is remind me in a lot of ways about what I love about the original trilogy so much. And I don't know that the word I'm going to use here is exactly correct, but there's a certain degree of hokiness to the original Star Wars trilogy, right? Just sort of the way the practical effects sometimes look, just sort of the pseudo-nonsensical languages and things that are just made up to make the world feel tangible and gritty and real. It's just these little things about it, and the fact that it's not such, and this might be not the right way to describe it, but it's not such a large-scale thing in the way that the prequels were necessarily, but it's a very kind of intimate story about these three characters. Mostly, you've got Luke, Han, and Leia, and of course the whole saga really is about Anakin, more or less, but really with the original trilogy, you had that focus of those characters, but all of that just combines to make this magical thing. And really, honestly, on the way out, I asked my son, because he had seen it before. I said, so what did you think about seeing it on the big screen? And he turned to me and he said, Dad, and he's 12 years old, Dad, there's just something special about these movies, isn't there? It was just really cool seeing it, and I loved it. So that was worth the price of admission to me. If you're a Star Wars fan and Return of the Jedi is playing in a theater, I know it's kind of limited where it's showing up, but if it's playing in a theater near you, it's 100% worth the experience to go and check it out, especially if you've got, someone younger in your life who would appreciate that. It was totally worth it. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below about your experience of seeing Return of the Jedi, the 40th anniversary edition on the big screen, and I'll be back soon with another review.